Okay, resuming on 4, 5, and 6 of this Practice Masters Level B 9-4 ellipses. This time they give us the equation, and we're asked to find the center, the foci, the vertices, the co-vertices, and graph all of the above. Okay, so I'm going to do this on another piece of paper so we have a little bit more space. So looking at the equation, first thing is I know from the fact that this is the bigger number that this is a squared. Okay, so I know that this is my a squared, so a equals 4. I know that this is my b squared, so b equals square root of 10. Okay, I know, let's see, that my center is at -3, -4. These are the things I know from looking at this equation. I'm also supposed to find the foci, so I'm going to use the fact that b squared plus c squared equals a squared, or another way to put that is that c squared is a squared minus b squared, so 16 minus 10, c squared is 6, so c is the square root of 6. So now I have all the things I need in order to find the foci, the co-vertices, the vertices, all these wonderful things they want me to find. All right, first off, let's just sketch it. And I'm going to do it on a larger scale here on my separate piece of paper. -3, -4 is my center. Now, is the major axis horizontal or vertical? Well, that goes back up to where a was. Since a squared was under the x, it's horizontal. So that means I'm going to go left of here and right of here to get to my vertices. If I'm going left and right, I have to decide whether the x value or the y value is changing. Only one of them changes. Hopefully you got that, which is the x value changes. I'm going to the left and to the right. So I'm going to write C for center. So that means I'm going to go however far A is this direction and however far A is this direction. That's the same thing as saying -4 to get this way, +4 to get this way, and only the x is changing. So -3 minus 4, because A is 4, gives me -7. -3 plus 4 gives me 1. That's the same process I go through whether I have a whole number or a messier irrational number. It's just that with whole numbers, instead of having to write -3 minus 4, I got to simplify it. Now for the foci, okay, C is not a whole number. So when I subtract it to go left and add it to go right, it's just not going to be able to be simplified. But it's the same process. I'm still subtracting to go left to find out where my focus is over here, and adding to go right. And I'm only changing the x value because I'm going left and right. And sorry, these are not quite lined up perfectly. But -3 minus square root of 6, and the y value doesn't change, and -3 plus square root of 6, and the y value doesn't change. So those are my foci. Now going up and down to get to the co-vertices, I'm going to have to add and subtract square root of 10. That's the b. But I'm not going to add and subtract square root of 10 from the x value here because I'm not going left and right, I'm going up and down. So the thing that's going to change is this -4. So directly above that I'm going to have -3 doesn't change, -4 plus square root of 10, and down here -3, -4 minus square root of 10. If you're going down it's minus, up it's plus. So here's my ellipse. Now the question might be, where am I supposed to graph this stuff? How do I know where to graph an irrational number? Well, you only have to worry about b being square root of 10, co-vertices, because the vertices are whole numbers, or rather integers. So I'm going to go back to my graph, and I've got -7, -4 for one vertex, 1, -4 for another one. Remember, the center we decided was at -3, -4. The foci, actually I do have to graph those, but let's go ahead and do covertices first. I would put this in my calculator and get a decimal approximation. -4 plus square root of 10. Square root of 10 is just a little bit bigger than the square root of 9. So since the square root of 9 is 3, square root of 10 is just a little bit bigger than that, 3.1 something. So -4 plus 3.1 something is a little bit bigger than -1. So we're talking between 0 and -1. This is a graph. It's not going to be easy to, it's not going to be that hard to excuse me, it's not going to be that accurate in terms of being able to see where that is. I'm just going to go between 0 and -1 and make a dot. Again, you can change this to a decimal, -4 minus square root of 10. You should get something in the -7.1, -7.2 range. So I'm going down to -7 point something. And this is how I am graphing my ellipse. It can be easier to draw it if you kind of sketch it. Now the foci, we know that they're inside. -3 minus square root of 6, I would do the exact same thing I just did. -3 minus square root of 6 is going to be -5 point something. So somewhere in here between -5 and -6. -3 plus square root of 6 is going to be somewhere in the 1 point something. Excuse me, no it's not. Hang on. -3 plus square root of 6. Oh, it's going to be between 0 and -1. And again, you can do that in your calculator. I'm just estimating it, because it's really not something that's going to be terribly accurate because you're on a graph. Okay, I would also label these out to the side, give the actual coordinates, but I already did on here. Okay, so you actually need to have those actual coordinates somewhere on your paper over here. Let's go ahead and do number 5. Again, you can always pause the video right here and try it yourself. Number 5, I know that the bigger number is underneath the y. That tells me number 5 is going to have a vertical major axis. So it's going to be something like this, where, wow, not the best ellipse, but here are my vertices. Pretend it goes through this point. Here are my co-vertices, and here are my foci. First thing I need to figure out is where the center is. On this one, the center is at 2, 4. So to get from the center to the foci and the vertices, I'm going to be going up and down. So the 2 will stay the same, only the 4 will change. When I go left and right to get to the co-vertices, that's left and right, so the x will change, the 2 will change. This time the 4 will stay the same. Okay, so let's go ahead and figure out what A and B and C are. If I have 9 here, bigger number, that means that's A squared, so A is 3. This means this is B squared, so B is square root of 6. Now C squared, come over here, is A squared minus B squared. Remember, that's because B squared plus C squared equals A squared. So 9 minus 6, C squared is 3, so C is square root of 3. So we have A is 3, B is square root of 6, C is square root of 3. So to get to the vertices, I'm going to go up and down A. So I'm going up 3, that takes me to 2, 7. Down 3, takes me to 2, 1. Again, going up is adding 3, down is subtracting 3. Foci. The 2 doesn't change. Going up is adding square root of 3, because c is square root of 3. So 4 plus square root of 3. Going down is subtracting square root of 3. So 4 minus square root of 3. Left and right, b takes me there to the covertices. So this time my x will change. 2 minus to go left and 2 plus to go right. So 2 minus square root of 6, y value stays the same. 2 plus square root of 6, y value stays the same. And those are all my coordinates. So transferring this to this graph over here at 2, 7, I have a vertex. At 2, 1, I have a vertex. 2, 4 is the center. 2 minus square root of 6, let's see, that's going to be over here somewhere between 0 and negative 1. And 2 plus the square root of 6 is going to be over here between 4 and 5. Again, you can use your calculator for that. Okay, so here's my covertex, covertex. And the foci are 2, 4 plus square root of 3. Somewhere in here. And 2, 4 minus square root of 3. Somewhere right in here. Okay, and I'm going to C for center. And again, you need to have these actual points mentioned on your graph somewhere. We don't use decimals for these. Use radicals, please. It's actually easier, believe it or not. And finally, number 6. Here's my a. A squared is 12, so a is the square root of 12, which is 2 root 3. B squared is 4, so b is 2. That means that c squared, which is a squared minus b squared, is 8. So c is the square root of 8, which is 2 root 2. The center of this one, x minus 0, so x value is 0, y minus 2, so the y value is 2. 0, 2. Next, I got to think about whether it's a horizontal or a vertical major axis. It's horizontal because the bigger number is under x. So that means I'm going to let a take me to the left and right. 2 root 3 is a little bit less than 4. I don't know, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, somewhere in there. So I'm going to go 2 and then a little bit more to the left. 2 and then a little bit more to the right. Okay, that's, what was this point again? 0, 2. 0, 2. 0 minus 2 root 3, so that's negative 2 root 3, 2. And 0 plus 2 root 3, so that's positive 2 root 3, 2. That, I came down a little too far on that. That's supposed to be 2 times the square root of 3, comma 2. Now for b, I'm going to go up and down. Up 2, down 2. Up 2 gets me to 0, 4. And by the way, I'm going to label those vertices, and this is a covertex. And down 2, 0, 0, covertex. I can sketch it at this point. All I've got left is to find the foci. Now they're going to be on the major axis, so they're going to be left and right from the center. So that means minus from the x value and plus from the x value. So 0 minus 2 root 2, which is over here somewhere, and 0 plus 2 root 2, which is over here somewhere. Notice that my y value for all the ones on the major axis is 2, the same as the center. The y value doesn't change if you're going to the left and right. only the x value. So again, this is a little bit hard to read. Sorry, I did it all on here. The center is at 0, 2. The vertices are negative 2 root 3, 2, and positive 2 root 3, 2. The covertices are 0, 4, and 0, 0. The foci are negative 2 root 2, comma 2, and positive 2 root 2, comma 2. And there you have it. Next video is going to be the last 4 problems, which is writing the equation in standard form when it doesn't start out that way.